Hey guys, welcome back to another RC edition video. In this video, I'm going to try to figure out what's going on with the Tamiya Hornet. This is all stock. It's got the stock motor and everything in it. I've maybe got, I'd say, around 15 packs through it, something like that. 4200 milliamp packs. So, you know, a decent amount of runtime, but nothing to where I would expect the transmission to be having problems. And it's kind of weird feeling because it's stiff. Like, you know, the wheels don't roll. Like something just doesn't sound right in there. And there's some slop. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. There's some slop. And also when it's running, you can hear like, it sounds like gears skipping in there a little bit. So my first guess is the diff. It just feels horrible. And Adventure Time RC, I believe your name's Brent, buddy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Brent told me that he had a similar issue with his Grasshopper, which is the same transmission. And he said it ended up, if I understand right, he said it ended up being the differential, like the outer gear that holds the planetary gears together. So I'm going to go ahead and rip this open and see what we got going on in there. If you're wondering why the rear wing doesn't look factory, it's because I made it out of a piece of Kydex that I used to make knife sheaths with, because my brand new kit didn't come with a wing. Just kind of an odd deal. But I like the way mine came out. It looks pretty cool. I just heated it up in the oven and formed it. So I just got the transmission to open up here, and at first glance I don't see anything, but I'm going to have to do a little bit of digging in here and see what we have. So the spur, oh, the spur is stiff. I think it's a spur. I can't tell which one that's making it really stiff. And nothing's looking crazy so far. There's the diff. I don't see any breaks or cracks or anything. I'm going to get a clean paper towel to lay this stuff down on. So the only thing that I've seen without looking real close at the diff yet is this nut is up out of where it should be in its seat. Down in this gear here, and this, yeah, it's jammed that way. I don't know if You guys can see that on the camera, I think. So somehow that nut, I'm going to have to try to force it out, the axle here. Somehow that nut got dislodged. Wow, that's jammed hard. What the heck? Not making a lot of sense to me so far. Okay. That's what it... Man, that seems like what it was. I don't understand that, though. Why is that nut up off there like that? I'm going to have to tear this down a little bit further, take the axle half out and see. I got something weird's going on, but I don't know what it is yet for sure. The axle's not wanting to come out either. I ran this thing on the beach one time in some wet sand, and it didn't do any favors for any of the metal parts. PB Blaster is great stuff. If you guys haven't tried it, it's awesome. As a mechanic, it's one of two of the penetrating oils I've actually been able to prove that work. Kroll oil and PB Blaster. And I'm just inspecting the diff a little closer here. Everything looks really good with it. I'm going to slap a little bit more grease in there when I put it back together. Yeah, so right now, guys, the problem I'm having is the shaft is seized in this outer bearing hard. I mean, I've pushed on it, I've tapped on it with a hammer as hard as I dare, and I cannot get it free from there, and I can't use any heat on it, obviously, because it's plastic, so I'm just going to have to take it over to the vise and keep hammering on it and hope I don't bend or break anything. Alright guys, I took it over to the vise and laid it on there carefully between the jaws to where it was just resting on the housing, and it doesn't look like I messed up the housing at all. I hate doing that, pounding on this little stuff with a hammer, but it was the only way it was going to come out, not being able to use heat like I normally would. So it was just seized in that outer bearing like crazy. I don't know. I think I'll keep the bearing in there just because it feels like it's rolling nice and smooth still, but usually, you know, you put that much force that way, hammering on a small bearing, probably want to change it. I would definitely change it if it was inside or somewhere harder to get to, but this is pretty easy to get to, so I think I'll just leave it for now. I'm definitely going to wire wheel the shaft. No, I'll wire brush the shaft just to make sure I got every bit of corrosion off there so that doesn't happen again. So maybe something to think about, guys, especially if you're running in, you know, an area with salt and stuff. Might want to hit your rear axles with a little bit of PB Blaster to get them to release from the bearings when you need them to, because man, I couldn't believe how hard that was stuck in there. That was pretty crazy. I'm lucky I didn't break my housing or bend the axle getting it out. Okay guys, I was messing around with this off camera trying to figure out what would enable this bevel gear to sort of slide off the retaining nut like that, and I think I found it out. So when I was building this kit, I was building it with my son. He's a little guy, so you know, I just missed this part apparently, and I don't think it came with my kit or I lost it during the build, but this sleeve right here, the BD3 5 by 5.5 millimeter sleeve, is supposed to go on right here behind the bevel gear, and I've been thinking about it, messing with it. If that's not there, that would allow the bevel gear to jump down here where it shouldn't be, and that's exactly what happened. So I don't have one of those shims. That'd be kind of a totally custom thing to just happen to have on hand. So I got my calipers out, and what I do have is a bunch of these 5 by 11 bearings, and they measure with the calipers, call it 4 millimeters. So my thought is that's going to be plenty close to use in place of the sleeve, and just slide another bearing on this shaft. on top of the other bearing in there and see how it works. So I'm going to reassemble it that way, and I'll get back with you guys after I get the transmission together. So got the tranny together, guys. It's operating real smooth, no weird clicks or anything. That's definitely what that was. Pretty obvious problem, pretty easy fix too.